What's up everybody? Welcome back to my channel. So tonight we are continuing our journey through all the MCU films, and tonight we are going to pop in The Incredible Hulk, which is an MCU film. I know a lot of people say that it isn't, which I honestly don't know how you can believe that, especially after Captain America Brave New World, but some people don't think it's a part of the MCU, but go look up the official list online. It is the second film in the MCU. So this is what we will be watching tonight. I actually am a lot higher on this film. Well, maybe not a lot higher, but I'll say a little bit higher on this film than a lot of people are. A lot of people think it's, or say it's like the black sheep of the MCU. It's probably one of the weaker ones, and I understand that. But I really enjoy Edward Norton as Bruce Banner. I know Mark Ruffalo takes over, and he's really good as well, but I really enjoy the cast in this film. I always enjoy it a lot more than a lot of other people do, and so I'm interested in watching and reviewing this one tonight. So time to pop this in the player, and I'll see you after and give my review. Alright everyone, so I just finished watching The Incredible Hulk, so here's my spoiler review. There's your warning in case you have not seen this film. Like I said in the beginning, I'm a bit higher on this film than a lot of people. I think there's a lot of fun to be had with this film. I really enjoy the cast. I know that Mark Ruffalo is recast and Edward Norton did not return, but I really enjoy his portrayal of Bruce Banner. I think he did a pretty good job. I like Liv Tyler as Betty Ross. You also got William Hurt as General Thaddeus Thunderbolt Ross. Ty Burrell as Leonard Samson or Doc Samson. We get Tim Roth as Emil Blonsky, aka Abomination. Tim Blake Nelson as Samuel Stearns, who as we saw in Captain America Brave New World, did eventually become his famous comic book counterpart. The leader, one of the Hulk's arch enemies. I think this cast was a lot of fun, and there was actually some pretty funny moments in this film, like when Betty and Bruce are trying to get a cab and their cab driver is driving super, like, insanely and just swerving in and out of traffic and all that, and they get out of the cab and Betty like yells at him and like kicks the cab, and then Bruce is like, you know, I know some anger management techniques you could learn, and she's like, you zip it. And then in the beginning when Bruce is trying to learn Portuguese, I think it is, when he's in Brazil and he tries to say the famous Hulk line, you won't like me when I'm angry, but he says hungry instead. I thought that was pretty funny. I really like in the beginning when he's in Brazil and the government first finds him, and we have that chase scene in the beginning where the government's chasing him and he's running on the rooftops and throughout the town or city. I don't know which one you call it. It did kind of give me some Aladdin or Arrow vibes. And then when he's in the factory and he hulks out, he's kind of in the shadows. It's kind of mysterious. I love how he's just like pulling guys into the shadows at first. And then when Emil Blonsky finally first sees him and he steps out of the shadows and we see Hulk's face and like get him in a full shot of him for the first time. I thought that was really well done. I think you get a lot of pretty decent Hulk action in the film, especially towards the end during the fight with Abomination, obviously. And then another thing I really like about this film is I think it does a really good job in making you feel for Bruce and Betty in the situation they're in. You know, Bruce just wants to get better. He wants his normal life back so he can be with Betty, and Betty wants the same thing, and they're trying to help him get cured, and they seek out that Samuel Stearns. And I think it does a good job in making you root for them and want that too, while at the same time, you know it's a Hulk movie, you want the Hulk to stay around and be the hero he's supposed to be. And I love how at the end when Abomination comes out and Bruce makes the sacrificial decision to try and become the Hulk again because he knows the Hulk is the only thing that can stop Abomination. He knows that in this situation you gotta fight fire with fire. The only thing that can beat a hulking gamma monster is a hulking gamma monster, and he sacrifices that potential life with Betty and having a normal life to become the Hulk again and stop Abomination. I just love how he lets go on the plane and he falls, and at first he thinks he's not going to transform and he's like, oh crud, and then he falls down into the pavement, deep into the ground, and then Hulk's hand shoots up. I really liked that scene. I thought it was really well done. It was really emotional. You just really kind of feel bad for Bruce. I mean, even seeing where his character goes in the MCU, we haven't seen him, you know, interact with Betty since this movie. I mean, we got Betty back in Brave New World, but we haven't seen her and Mark Ruffalo interact at all. So you really do feel for Bruce, and I really do want him to get a happy ending eventually. I'm really curious to see what they do with Hulk in the future of the MCU. We haven't really seen him, at least on the movie side of things recently. I know he was in She-Hulk. I didn't watch She-Hulk because the trailers looked bad to me and inappropriate. Wasn't really interested in She-Hulk at all. I know what happens in it because I read the whole plot on Wikipedia, but I didn't watch it, so I haven't seen Mark Ruffalo's Hulk really since Endgame, I believe. No, actually, he was in the post-credit scene of Shang-Chi. We haven't seen him since Shang-Chi. But I really hope we do get him back and we get some really good Hulk action, some more Hulk lore in the MCU. Really hope he gets a happy ending eventually. And that's another thing about this film. This film really makes me want some more Hulk content in the MCU. That's why I was first really excited for She-Hulk when they announced it, but then they dropped the trailers, and I was like, oh gosh. I don't know if anyone else grew up with the show Hulk and the Agents of Smash, but I did, and I really enjoyed that show. And in that show, we were introduced to a lot of Hulk lore, obviously, and a lot of different Hulk characters, like villains and allies, so I know a decent amount about Incredible Hulk lore. So I really hope that we eventually get another Hulk movie or two. I don't know if we ever will, but I know there's a lot of source material to work with, and they set a lot of things up in this film. Like, we were introduced to Leonard Samson, who is Doc Samson in the comics, who is like a therapist that kind of helps out the Hulk and has some Gamma-related incident and gets like the long green hair and everything. So we don't get much of him, so I was really hope that we eventually see more of that character. I mean, this film came out in 2008, it's 2025. I don't know if we ever will get more Hulk content in the MCU. I really hope so. And then also, I love the setup for Samuel Stearns as the leader. I think they did a really good job of showing his fascination with the Hulk's power set when he's helping him, trying to cure him towards the end. I think they did a really good job of that. And ever since this film, I've been wanting them to bring him back as the leader and make him the super smart, give him the iconic big green brain. And they kind of did that in Brave New World, and it was nice to see him back. I'm glad they finally did that and made him the leader, but they still didn't really do him justice, so that's another reason I really do hope we get more Hulk content in the MCU, because I really want them to do the leader justice. I mean, in Hulk and the Agents of Smash, he's this really smart character, and some of his plans are actually really impressive. I'm a big fan of villains who are really smart and who are 10 steps ahead and have backup plans for their backup plans. The leader was just a really cool villain in that show, so I was really hoping and hope that we do get more of the leader in the MCU. And that's one issue with the MCU, is a lot of these great iconic villains who are recurring threats in the comics are really only one-offs in films, which is very unfortunate. I mean, sometimes they do bring them back, but most of the time they're just one-offs. We don't really see them again. There's a lot of villains that I really hope the MCU brings back one day, but I really don't know if they will. Hulk and the Agents of Smash just really showed me that there's actually a lot you can do with the Hulk. There's a lot of lore there, a lot of characters you can bring in, like A-Bomb. I know they did a Scar in She-Hulk, so I'm really interested in seeing what happens there. I'm really interested to see if they ever bring Liv Tyler back to play Betty Ross again and make her the Red She-Hulk like she is in the comics at one point. It really is kind of sad how this film introduces us to and sets up a bunch of famous Hulk characters, and they haven't really done a lot of these characters justice. They haven't really brought them back, at least in a large capacity. It's just really disappointing, kind of, what the MCU has done with Hulk a lot of the time. It's just really disappointing and sad, because with this film I can see the potential and you can see the setup, but I don't know if we'll ever get any payoff for it. But I am glad we at least got this film. I think everyone does a really good job as their characters. I think there's a lot of fun to be had. There's some funny moments. There's a lot of really good Hulk action. I think overall I'd give this, I'm between a 6 or a 7, so I'll say 6.5. It doesn't do anything phenomenal or great. It's pretty much the definition of just a, fine, decent film. I really don't have any big problems with it, but there are a few moments where it's like, how does that make sense? Or really? For example, in the beginning when Bruce is working in the factory and he cuts himself and a blood drop falls into one of the soda bottles, and he goes down, he's like, stop everything, and then he cleans up the blood on the conveyor belt, but he doesn't notice that some blood got on a bottle like right over here, not too far from where he is. I just don't buy that he didn't see that, and also who the bottle goes to is Stanley. Actually, the Stanley cameo is him drinking the bottle with Bruce's blood in it, and then nothing really happens to him. Or I guess we're just meant to assume that he's okay and nothing happened to him. He didn't Hulk out or anything. I just didn't really buy that, but okay. And there's a few more moments like that throughout the film that are just kind of distracting because, like, wait, what? How did that happen? How does that make sense? Or I'm not really sure that would happen. I don't really buy that. Overall, I think this is a pretty decent, enjoyable film. I've heard some people say this is a bad film. I don't agree with that. Hot take maybe, but I still think the MCU has yet to make a bad film. A bad film to me is a film that has little to absolutely nothing going for it, nothing to enjoy. And the MCU has yet to make a movie like that, in my opinion. Even my least favorite MCU movie, I still think is probably a 5 out of 10, maybe. I still think there's a lot to enjoy, even in the weakest MCU films. Like I said, my Iron Man review, it is crazy, the consistency the MCU has. But overall, I think that's all my thoughts on The Incredible Hulk. Nothing really phenomenal, no really good, great messages that stood out to me. But overall, it is fun, it is enjoyable. I think it's a pretty decent film, definitely not a bad film. So leave y'all's thoughts about The Incredible Hulk down below. Would love to have a discussion with y'all about this film. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy my content, and I guess I'll see y'all in the next video. Y'all have a good one.